Hi, Felix.
Hey Clarissa, how are you?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I am great. So excited to be here and to participate in this interview.
Sweet. Yeah, for anyone who's just joining us, a little background information. I'm Clarissa Lamb. I am the Science Communications intern this summer for the Summer Systematics Institute here at Cal Academy. And I'm one of 9 interns, and one of our other interns here is Felix. And we're going to talk to him about, your life and journey through the world of STEM and your research this summer and plans for the future. So
Awesome.
yeah, I'm super excited. If you want, I'll pull up your slideshow and you can just introduce yourself and we can get ready and get started.
Perfect. Let's do it.
Sweet.
All right. So my name is Felix Duley. My pronouns are he, him, is, and I am an intern over here at the California Academy of Sciences. So is Clarissa, as she just said. And I am getting to work with Dr. Lauren Esposito and Jacob Gourneau on a project involving Pararoctonus scorpions. So I get to work with their genomics lab and all that really awesome stuff. So I've gotten to sequence genes, and I'll talk a whole lot more about it in a second. But it's been a super incredible, like once in a lifetime experience.
Yeah, and do you want to talk about just some of your earliest memories with nature and science and how you got into it?
For sure. And actually, I have a little bit more about me as well that I
Oh yeah. Sure.
no worries. So I'm from Fairfield, California. As I said, I'm 19. I am transferring from Solano Community College to UC Davis this year to be in their entomology program. Super exciting. I can't wait for that. I myself am a self-proclaimed, and I think other people would also proclaim me to be an arachnid fanatic. I have 11 tarantulas at home that I care for, along with many other arachnids, which has just been such an incredible experience for me. And they seriously are the light of my life. I love caring for them. I will be majoring in entomology with an arachnology concentration. And I am working with Dr. Lauren Esposito and Jacob Gourneau on this Pararoctonus scorpion project. Yeah. And
Sweet.
then, yeah.
Yeah, and then do you want to? We'll go into my previous question, but just how did you get interested in spiders and scorpions?
For sure. So it started from a pretty young age, along with hiking. I was always really interested in nature. My mom really loved to hike, so we would go on hikes pretty frequently, her and like my younger sister and me. And that was really formative to my interest in nature and the world around me, and something that I still really enjoy if it's not too hot outside. And my interest in spiders has also been something that I have harbored for a very long time. There was a cellar spider, which is also commonly known as a daddy longleg, which I have a picture of over there, that lived like right above my bunk bed when I was probably 3 or 4, and I named him Munchie. And he was like my little like spider buddy. So that was like my first, I think, memory of being like aware and like cognizant of like spiders, and there was not any fear there. It was just excitement and like I remember just feeling very like happy to get to share space with this little being, and that's something that I'm really glad I'm able to reconnect with now. So that was something that was, from the time I was little, I was fine with spiders. um, and I also was really into collecting snails. I used to collect ladybugs in a little like pencil case during recess when I was in like first and second grade, and I'd like bring them to class and then have other kids like get ladybugs, and my teachers were like, please stop, like stop bringing bugs in. I used to love to catch frogs in my backyard. Still do, I'm going to be honest. And my parents were nothing but supportive, even when I was bringing bugs into weird places, and I still am bringing bugs home every day. Um, but they have seriously done nothing but foster my interest in like STEM, and particularly in the field I'm in now, arachnology and entomology. And when I was in elementary school and middle school, I really started becoming more interested in marine sciences. I really wanted to be a marine biologist for a long time. And ultimately, towards the end of middle school, I kind of had some negative experiences with science class. I didn't feel quite as aware of it, or aware of like my own belonging in STEM, kind of coming to terms with my own identity as a transgender person, as well as a gay person, kind of handling that in a world, particularly a discipline of study that has been predominantly not trans or gay inclusive. Um, and so that was something that kind of I turned away from science, the hard sciences, and I began exploring sociology. And that was something I was really passionate about up until COVID, when during my own like pursuing of my sociology degree, I kind of was like, I really would like to like reintegrate myself with like spiders, because I know, back when I was way younger, I could really interact with spiders in a way that I didn't fear them. And now, like, if I see a spider like near my bed, I'll go like sleep on the couch downstairs. Like, I don't want to deal with them at all. And I really wanted to kind of get over that. And so I started small. I started with jumping spiders, and I kind of equated, jumping spiders to like other pets, and that really helped me kind of get over it, to kind of make them more familiar to me and learn a lot about them, and learn that they're not out to get you. They're not gonna come over to you and bite you for no reason. Um, and just kind of learning more about how incredible they are, and how important they are to the ecosystem. And I was able to actually find my own jumping spider and care for him for a while, and that really, really helped me get past that hurdle of being uncomfortable in close proximity with spiders. And then from there, I got really interested in tarantulas and other megalomorphs. And so the picture of the tarantula on screen is of my Aphanopelma samani. Her name is Amy. She's great, but she's one of 11 of my tarantulas. And I now just keep on finding other awesome little beings that I love to care for, and I love to experience getting to find them in the wild. And so that's been something that I'm super excited to continue doing. I'm excited to get more field work in there, so I can hopefully have some more like moments actually out where I'm getting to see these amazing creatures doing what they're meant to do in the wild.
Yeah, definitely. That's wonderful feelings. I don't not a lot of people would have, like, the courage to recognize a fear and just dive fully into it like that.
We weren't doing anything else during COVID. I had to do
Yeah, everyone
something.
needs their COVID hobbies. Some people made
Yeah.
sourdough, you started, like, a spider colony or something like that.
What can I say?
But yeah, some of the things that you were talking about, just, like, having these negative experiences with science in
Mm,
middle school, and it's so painfully common, especially at the time. I know you transitioned from a young age, but just
mm.
identifying as a woman and experiencing those, having those experiences in STEM, how does it compare a little bit, like, presenting as a man now, or identifying as a man now versus as someone who was younger?
For sure. Yeah, it definitely is miles different. I find that, you know, for better, and honestly a lot more often for worse, identifying as a man now, I'm able to kind of recognize just how easily like my word is trusted in a scientific field, versus, I remember being younger and being a, seemingly female person, and having a lot of, I think there was this idea that was like, oh, if this person is like interested in STEM but they're female, like it can be like a really cool hobby when they're growing up, but then, they'll
Mhm.
settle down and they'll like do something that's going to be more like traditionally feminine or traditionally female. um you can be interested in bugs until it's time to have kids, basically, like that kind of energy, which I'm thankful my family never pushed onto me, but that was something that definitely was common, where it was kind of taken not so seriously. But the second that people see me now and they recognize me as male, um, it's just a very different expectation of how legitimate my work is and how legitimate my interest is. And that really is something that I'm passionate about changing. I really want to be an advocate for women and for people in predominantly discriminated like against groups, to be able to participate in STEM, without fear of not being taken seriously, because it is a very real issue.
Yeah, yeah. And yeah, let's dive, kind of just transitioning, to a new point, but let's talk a little bit more about what you're studying this summer and some of the work that you've been doing here.
For sure. So it's been an incredible almost 2 months. I obviously came in interested, guns blazing, ready to talk about arachnids, and uh, quite frankly, I had never been supremely interested in scorpions. I think my real interest lies with spiders, but I can thankfully say that I have completely changed in that regard. I love scorpions now. They're super incredible, and much slower, which is nice. And they have just been a super, super cool species and or a super cool genus of scorpion to study, um, particularly because of how close they are in proximity to us. Like they are in California, they're native to here. And they also are, I believe, the northernmost found scorpion. So they go all the way up through the coast. This genus does, which is not particularly normal for scorpions. So it's been super interesting learning different things about them in that regard. And this workspace has been wonderfully supportive. So different from middle school, which is always something I'm glad to say. Um, it, I mean, beyond just the incredible connections I've made with my fellow interns, I feel like every instance of mentor mentee relationships that I have been a part of personally in this experience has just been nothing but nurturing. I've felt, very secure in knowing like I'm coming into this knowing very little about lab work and very little about how to do lab work outside of like high school science classes. And so I was definitely nervous coming into it, like how well I'm going to kind of latch on to like a real, lab situation where I'm doing real lab work. And um, I think that thankfully, thanks to Jacob, who has done nothing but help me in the lab and been there for every single ridiculous question I've had to ask, um, that I have been able to really kind of take off with this. And I feel very comfortable now participating in lab work. And I know like what different additives are that I'm like adding into my different chemical concoctions, and that's been really exciting. And I also got to work previously on a project with my advisor last year. I worked at the Exploratorium, also in San Francisco, a really wonderful science museum as well. And I worked there last year when I was 18 for 6 months as an intern, and it was a really wonderful experience. And I got to meet Dr. Lauren Esposito through that. And Lauren was nothing but helpful then, and they are nothing but helpful now. It has been so wonderful getting to work alongside her. Um, and it's seriously been the most incredible experience, maybe of my life ever. I was so excited to get to explore a new city and kind of find myself within a new space. Um, and get to just explore what it means to be a scientist as me. I've never really gotten that experience to explore the scientific world as I am now. So it was really kind of my first dip into that. And it's been incredible. And I can't wait to find out more about what I can discover and learn.
Yeah, and not even just in the sciences, but I think you're one of our youngest, if not the youngest intern this summer, but it's like, everyone's coming out of COVID, you're living
Mhm.
here on your own away from home for the first time, and I feel like this has been such a huge summer of, like, growth for everyone, but
Seriously.
yeah, and I also was wondering, you'd mentioned before at the beginning of the summer that you didn't have a lot of mentor-mentee relationships or, like, strong, role models growing up like that. And how has it been working with Lauren, but also Jacob this summer and being able to build a mentor-mentee relationship like that?
For sure. I mean, yeah, outside of my own, familial relationships and outside of very few and far between mentorship instances in my life, it's been very difficult for me to find a mentor that I feel like we really kind of connect on, the level that I think mentors and mentees should. And that might just be a difference in expectation, but I think it's been very difficult, particularly because of my identity as a trans person, to find, an older person that I also feel is not going to necessarily discredit me for my ideas because of my identity and also isn't going to think that I'm anything outside of what I am, if that makes sense. I want to bring my whole self into my work, and I think it can be troubling when we're expected to kind of leave a very important piece of ourselves behind in order to actually participate in these discussions. And so that's something I've always been really passionate about since I, came out and started living as myself. Um, but getting to work with, a proud out lesbian, Lauren Esposito, who is, the founder of 500 Queer Scientists, which is just an incredible initiative to promote more diversity in STEM for queer people. That in and of itself is just unbelievable how important that has been to me as a queer person. Um, knowing that she understands, sort of the intricacies of identity and how complicated it can be to really bring your full self to the table, but also how important it is. And Jacob has been in the same vein, just absolutely incredible, and being a wonderful mentor, even without his. I feel like our shared identity as gay men, but it has been just awesome. He's been like, very much like an older brother figure to me, and it's just been amazing. Seriously, the best, and I definitely intend to kind of maintain my mentor mentee relationship with both of them even after this internship ends.
Yeah, and that's a nice little segue into the next question. But
Yeah.
what are your plans for the future after this summer ends? We have a week left, and
Oh my
do you want to
gosh.
keep trying to work with Lauren and Jacob? And what are you thinking?
Right. I mean, that is a great question. I pretty much only have one thing set in stone at the moment, which is that I am moving to Davis in California with my wonderful boyfriend Nico, and I will be living there to start my entomology degree program. So I'll be trying to get my bachelor's here in the next few years through UC Davis. Excuse me. So that's something that's super exciting. But other than that, I would love to continue working with Jacob and Lauren. I think it's really just a matter of figuring out the logistics of living so far away from San Francisco, but also still wanting to be involved in what the lab is doing. And I know that there is a lab in UC Davis that, fingers crossed, I might have an in. So we'll see if that ends up happening. But if that ends up happening, then I think it will be a lot easier to kind of maintain that connection through our shared work, because there are only so many like arachnid science groups. So I feel like no matter what, we're always going to be in the same circles. So even if it's only getting to re-interact with them during conferences and stuff like that, that's still more than I could ever ask for, to be honest. But I definitely do hope that I get to continue working with them in some capacity. Um, I'm hopefully going to actually publish the information that I find during this internship, um, whether that's through a paper, which is what I'm hoping, but we'll see what happens. So at the very least, until that paper is finished, I feel like I will always have a connection, um, as far as work is concerned, with these lovely people. But I would love to continue it even past that. So we'll see, where the future ends up taking me.
Yeah, I mean, you and I just had that meeting this morning, and as
Hmm.
Lauren pointed out, it's like the people who kind of enter the California Academy of Sciences, at least in the science division, it's just they kind of tend to stick around. I feel like we're all
Yeah,
going to be in each other's lives for quite a few years down the road.
I hope so. Y'all ain't getting rid of me.
But yeah, and then any last things you want anyone to know, or want us to know about you, Jen?
I mean, less to know about me and more, I think my what I always go to is just saying, I am one of many, many queer and trans people in STEM. And I think that, obviously I've got kind of a dog in the fight being myself, but I think that the information that a lot of these people from disparaged groups bring to science, particularly, going even further than that and saying, people of color and queer people of color, there is an entire unheard set of information that they are willing to share if only given the platform. So I, it's been really wonderful to get to be a part of this internship where I feel like so many people belonging to those groups have actually been given that opportunity. And I hope that more groups kind of take on that same model and are willing to platform people that desire and, quite frankly, deserve that platform. Um, but that's kind of it, other than if you are interested in finding me after this, thank you so much for watching, A. And B, my Twitter is at Felix Duley on Twitter. And my LinkedIn is just my name, Felix Duley. Thank you so much for watching.
Thank you so much for joining us, Felix. It's been wonderful to talk to you.
Oh my gosh.
You're so incredibly well spoken. I'm always impressed. Yeah.
Clarissa, please. You're wonderful. It is always just the best to get to talk to you, even if not on a live interview. Like, I love hanging out with you. You're the best.
Yeah. For anyone else watching, also Felix and I are roommates.
We are roommates, and Clarissa, like, they are literally the best roommates. So
thank you. But yeah, all right, let's sign off. But thanks
all
again,
right.
Felix. I'll see you in a bit.
See you in a bit. Thank you guys so much again.
Yeah. Bye, everyone.